Hello, everybody. My name is Jamie Lynn Thomas, and I want to thank you so much for coming to my virtual, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, online introduction to cannabis energy medicine. So now that I have got my speaker turned off, we're going to go ahead and get started. Uh, Hi, Tina. I'm so happy to see you here. Looks like you're from New York. Anybody else want to let us know where you're from? I'd love to hear it as well. So you may want to take notes. I do tend to go a little fast. I like to give you a lot of information so you can start using the tools that I'm going to give you today to start working with cannabis energy medicine and start your self-healing process. Feel free to put your questions at any point in time on the comment chat box, and I'll be answering those as we go along. There will be some points in the webinar itself that I'm going to ask for questions and answer opportunities. So that can also be where you can post your questions at that point in time. So this is me. I want to tell you a little bit about my story, why I'm here sharing about cannabis energy medicine, and give you a little bit of background as to how I went through horrible health conditions, completely and utterly disabled, walking with a cane, to now being a vital, vivacious woman who runs 5 separate businesses and is considered to be a superwoman by many people around her. So I want to teach you those tools, give you the access to unlocking your inner physical, emotional, mental, spiritual reconnection, which is going to help with your healing process. So a little bit about my story. I was completely disabled. I had chronic illness at the age of 13, and they gave me about 10 separate diagnoses, a big long list of issues that were going on in my physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. And that was horrible for me as a young woman who earlier in life had been completely vital, who had walked around as some of the healthiest girls in the world. I didn't get sick until about the age of 13, where I was just hit with a whole bunch of dysfunction and out of balance challenges. So I continued to try to figure out what was going on in my system. And at the age of 14, we finally got some clear diagnoses, at least with this hopeless diagnosis of being disabled for the rest of my life. At the age of 14, I was given no hope. Out there with the similar hope. I knew that there was hope within this hopelessness. So I started to work with a whole bunch of different practitioners and get them to collaborate towards my health goals with how I wanted to work with my physical, emotional, mental, spiritual system. And that meant getting me off of the 50 medications that I was on. Think about it, a 14-year-old girl on 50, that's 5 times 10. That's 50 separate pills every single morning I was taking to fix my system, right? And I wasn't getting better. I was getting worse and more out of balance and just sicker and sicker. But then once I got all my practitioners working on the same page for me, I had something magical happen. Magical. I started to self-heal. I started to transform my diagnoses into something that now is no longer disabled. So at the age of 22, I took that label and I ripped it away from my system, and I gave myself back the hope that had been taken away from me at the age of 14. Age of 22, I was completely off of all of those medications. So no longer was I taking 50 separate pills a day. I might have been taking my vitamins or my supplements, but I was no longer taking all of the prescribed medications that I was needing. And these were all titrated down with the help of my physicians who were on the same page with me. And at the age of 31, I now run 5 separate companies, and I am living a very healthy, vital life. And I want you to learn the same tools so you can do it as well. So, my message is through personal health crisis, you will find your calling, you'll find your destiny, you'll find exactly what you need to start to heal and change the world one drop at a time, right? Because when your reserves are low, you can't do anything to help anybody else. You're stuck in this place of low vibration, low vitality, where you are unable to help yourself raise to another level of vitality, let alone somebody else. They keep falling down. So, what I want you to do, if you're here in this virtual room, you're here because you want to help heal the world from the inside out. You are drawn to cannabis energy medicine and quantum flower essences for a reason. They have a higher vibration and they're going to help you come to that next level. Now, you are the beautiful light being that is connecting with its personal heart tribe. Thank you for coming. Thank you for finding us. Thank you for joining this beautiful space here. Now, something I've talked about already in this webinar is the PEMS, the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. And for me, the PEM system is more than just each one of these systems broken apart individually. True health comes when all 4 of these systems are in harmony together, are in perfect vibration. They are healing themselves by reconnecting and raising to higher levels of being. So, what is this cannabis energy medicine that I keep talking about? Energy medicine is a blend of color therapy, or what we call in the scientific world of chromotherapy. It uses the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual responses and studies them according to scientific stimuli. So what that means is that we know that certain colors affect the person in a different way. So they might affect the physical, the emotional, the mental, spiritual bodies, depending upon what color is in your room, what color's in your hospital room, what color do you create your kitchen, all of what clothes do you wear for the day. These are all choices that every single person makes every single day to connect to color therapy, chromotherapy. Every single person in the world does this because we choose through color attraction. We are wearing according to what our needs are without even having to think about it. Now, I'm going to show you how to activate that color power and create a higher level of vibration here in just a little bit. So scientifically minded, in my part 2 talk to this one here, I go into more detail to the science of color therapy. But right here, you can see that each color has its own indications. Each color is assigned its own emotional quality. It reacts a certain response it creates a certain response, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. So, other aspects about cannabis energy medicine that are really important to know is that we work with water as a living, intelligent being. We consider water to be sentient. And when you work with water in any scientific experiment, it creates responses. But then we look at our own physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies, and we're made up of 72 to 75% of water. Now, if water is a living, intelligent being and it's affected by color, it's also affected by vibrations, then those 3 things together, when they're working to raise your vibration and heal and reconnect the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual systems, you will see huge transformational changes in somebody's health. And this is really where the 6-week plan to self-healing comes into. Just something you'll learn about in my book if you purchase the book. Now, some of you might be familiar with Matsumoto Emoto, and this is Messages in Water. He wrote a book that was sold all over the world. And he is an author, a scientist, and a researcher. And he's been studying the microscopic structure of water when it's frozen in relationship to thoughts. So to wrap your mind around it is to take a glass of water. I take my cup here, and I would put a label on the front of it, and I would hate this water every single day. I would just hate it. I would tell it was bad, and it looked horrible, and I wished it would die, and just tell it negative things over and over and over again. And if you look at this water underneath electronic microscope, you will see that the crystal imprint is fractured and broken and unhappy. But if you take this water and you tell it you love it, and you appreciate it, and you think it's beautiful, and you just really fill it full of light and love, this water is going to look very different underneath the electronic microscope. It's going to be perfectly symmetrical. It's going to have a snowflake that is geometrically sound and full of beautiful symmetry. So for you to get a kind of an image of what this is this slide here. You can see the difference of how water is being affected as a molecule when you tell it a prayer. So before a prayer here, we have a very simple water molecule. And then when we offer a prayer, we see that it creates a geometric structure. It actually has form once we program or put intelligence in the water. Thank you. Completely structure, a crystalline geometric structure. Now, if you tell it it's gnarly and it's sick and you want to kill it, this is completely different. Look what it does to the water. It breaks it apart. It makes it unhappy. And when you look closer and closer, that fragmentation is even worse. This is important to note because and we're learning more and more that our mind, our thoughts affect the way that our bodies react. So if we think negative thoughts all the time, we may be seeing the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual systems being affected by that, lowering our vibration, decreasing our potential for healing others through our higher light, our higher vibratory ability. Now, because I want you to get educated, I want you to learn more about water intelligence, if you are so called. Here is a free link to capture your own copy of Messages in Water from Matsumoto Emoto. So now what are flower energy medicines? That is an important question because part of cannabis energy medicine is all about flower essences. It's built off the same principles as other flower essences, subtle vibrational remedies, right? And flower essences are really just flower imprints. They are vibrational remedies that hold the pure, pristine vitality of the plant at the height of its flower. It's captured in the water and held stable. What's really interesting about vibrational medicine, the more and more we find out about quantum physics and our place in the universe, is that we're finding that E equals MC squared, energy equals matter conversion. We are seeing it being affected. Einstein's original model, something we learned early on in childhood. I mean, I remember learning this model, E equals MC squared, when I was in some of my very first elementary classes for math. And it made me look up and want to learn more about Einstein and his amazing thoughts and theories in this world. And now, years and years later, we're starting to actually get the science and the tools to measure the principles that we could not measure long ago. So now we're changing the face of science. We are literally we are rewriting the books for physics. We're rewriting certain books for math. It is an amazing time to be alive and an amazing time to be looking at energy medicines. So, if you want to learn a little bit more about the foundation of energy medicine, the father of flower essences in general, you can learn about Bach flower essences through my free program here. Download the entire ebook as well as my 10 webinar series that trains you from beginning to end on how to become a flower essence practitioner. Now, this is completely free, so please take advantage of it, share it widely, use it as a resource for you and your friends, your family, your loved ones, anybody who you think would benefit from raising their vibration from a place of lower existence to one that is higher and resonating like a beacon of light out into the rest of the world, therefore transforming others and healing one drop at a time. So the evolution of flower essences is really interesting. The old way of flower essences is Bach flower essences, the traditional way that you're going to learn in the previous slide. So if you download the series, learn the traditional way to become a flower essence practitioner, which means you need to memorize indications, imbalances, so that you know which of the 38 remedies are best serving the needs right then and there. There's also very few images, so you're not looking by color attraction. There's no simplicity to it. There's no color therapy as part of this vibrational remedy. And we know that earlier, if you take vibrational remedies, color therapy, and water intelligence and mix those together, we increase the vibration 300 fold, right? Like jump it way up. One of the other things about Bach flower essences that is a little sad nowadays is that when we get Bach flower essences here in the States, they have been sent through the nutraceuticals line. So when they come through customs, they get zapped with a type of radiation. Now, as an intelligent, programmed vibrational remedy, do you think that might affect the final vibration that we receive here in the States? Do you think it might be a little lower and diluted than if we had gotten it right out of the plant right in Europe? Yeah, of course it would. Radiation decreases, it breaks things apart. That is its entire point, lysing cells, right? Destroying things that are not supposed to be there. And then the new way, well, and part of the old way is that you would always put it only in a dosage bottle. So you would take a couple drops a day of this essence over a lunar cycle, over 30 days, 2 weeks to 30 days. You would take this essence and it would work over a long period of time. It would take a little bit. It would take a while. And the new way changes that. It allows you to experience transformational healing very quickly. Why? Because you find exactly what you need for your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies right now. You don't have to work very hard, as all you have to do is look at the color, look at the flower, look at the picture, and choose which one you're most attracted to right now, in that moment, in this time. It's very simple. So I want you to take that simplicity and choose which one would you prefer. If you were going to work with the Bach flowers, would you work with the brown bottles here on the left, or would you work with these beautiful images and colors on the right-hand side with clear solution, completely alcohol-free? Yeah, some people do, some people don't. Most people will prefer the color attraction method, and that's what I want you to look at. And that's exactly what cannabis energy medicine has been created for: simplicity, for every single person, following Bach's original thoughts that every single person should be using flower essences. Every single person should have them in their medicine cabinet. Now, why cannabis? Well, cannabis is one of the highest vibrational plants in the world. What does that mean? Well, when we take cannabis seeds and we plant them at sites of serious radiation, like in Fukushima, we can see radiation levels decrease within a year of planting those seeds. So when we pull the plant, when it's done with its full life cycle, we pull the plant out, it's full of radiation. It takes years and years of radiation out of the soil with just 1 year of growth. I was seeing different stats, so I'm not sure exactly what to quote here. So I've seen anything from about 10 years decreased radiation in 1 year growth, all the way up to a 20-year cycle. So if somebody has the actual data on that from a scientific, reputable source, I would love to see it, because I have not seen any uh, clear numbers on that, but we can at least go by the very base number, which is 10 years. So if cannabis can decrease radiation by 10 years in 1 year of growth, do you think that if you use that high vibrational remedy in your own physical, emotional, mental, spiritual body, it might increase your vibrational resonance of any toxins and out of balance things in your system? Yeah, more than likely, right? And that's why I chose this method of diagnoses, right? You look at what color you're most attracted to. So is anybody attracted to a certain color right here? Hi, Tina. Yeah, purple. Purple's a good one. That's our destiny's calling. It's part of our core four here. So I was talking about cannabis as a family, as a high vibrational remedy, but let's talk about the therapeutic effects of cannabis in general. There are so many therapeutic effects about cannabis, is that all of the cannabis plant spirits support the human physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. And they do this through the internal endocannabinoid system, which really increases our wellness at a quantum level. So transforming our water within our own bodies one drop at a time. Now, with traditional spirituality, we use cannabis to find new consciousness, the hallucinogenic compounds to change perception, right? Where your reality gets morphed and transformed. But in quantum spirituality, it uses different cannabis strains or species that we blend with color therapy and quantum physics to create a modern day, completely drug free consciousness product. Now, what does that do? Well, it integrates the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies, and it transforms the perception of this higher vibrational energy by placing it through our energetic light bodies. So the tips of the fingers, the toes, the top and bottom of the mouth here. So there's some very specific acupuncture points that the 10 fingers and toes are being affected by. And this is a very powerful treatment, which you can learn about in my book. As a cultivator plant, we have connected and created such a beautiful connection with cannabis that we have gotten rid of traits that we dislike, and we have kept traits that we like. So for this particular plant, we have focused mainly on the feminine qualities of this plant. We're always looking for female buds, right? Female flowers. That's where the medicine of cannabis is. Now, in this new era where we're coming into our heart space, reconnecting to the divine feminine within ourselves and within all of that around us, we need a plant and a tool that helps support that and raises our vibration by keeping us in heart space. And this is what cannabis flowers do. They keep you in the heart space. Now, ethnobotanically, we really have seen a connection develop with cannabis that's completely unlike any other relationship we have with any other plant. This means cannabis recognizes humans. It can differentiate between a human coming in to tend to the plants and a predator coming in to attack or take the plants. There is an intelligence to the plant that is completely remarkable. Now, if you have ever worked with cannabis, ever grown cannabis, you might know the potential that is here within this high vibrational plant. And feel free to share it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you notice when you're working with the cannabis plant spirit. So, because I'm a big fan of sharing information, I want you to learn more about the medicinal qualities of cannabis, not just cannabis energy medicine. There's a little blurb about that in this book, but this book is specifically created for people who want to work with the cannabis plant therapeutically. It breaks it down body system by body system on how you can use this plant, historical uses, science, and suggested uses. So there's a lot of recipes and goodies here. Please take up the benefit of this beautiful book. I created it as my thesis when I graduated from clinical herb school as my clinical dissertation. This was my entrance into the world of herbs. And that was in 2010. And now it's 2016. And I will be putting out my second edition next year in hardback copy. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I think my sixth published book coming up then. So I mentioned the endocannabinoid system earlier, and some of you might have been like, what is the endocannabinoid system? Well, the endocannabinoid system, if you break it down, endo, E-N-D-O, equals inside. It's an inner layer, right? Cannabinoid means that it is specifically reacts to cannabinoids, which are present in more plants than just cannabis. So we can see cannabinoids. The most famous cannabinoid containing plant is hops. Beer, anybody? Well, hops is closely related to cannabis. They're in the same family. They both produce cannabinoids, and cannabinoids work with the endocannabinoid system. They attach to that system, which is the master system. The endocannabinoid system's main goal, stasis or perfect balance between all of the body systems. Now, this is like our master gland. It's like our master system, the one that creates perfection, balance in the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. And for me, what I really see is that the endocannabinoid system is a bridge between the body and the mind, and it has been built into our anatomy and our physiology. The endocannabinoid system is always striving for this homeostasis, for that completely balanced PEM. So it's always affecting different systems. Now, do you think a system that is a master system, if it isn't given enough cannabinoids, food to nourish that system, to make it work, if it's not given the food it needs, will it keep the system in perfect balance? No. That's when we start to see things like fibromyalgia, which is now considered a endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. There is a connection with a high percentage of people who have fibromyalgia to the endocannabinoid deficiency. And if you want to learn more about that one, check out the PEM Summit and that class coming up later on in the month of October so that you can get access to how to work with cannabis energy medicine and fibromyalgia specifically. So why does cannabis energy medicine work? I'm going to show you some case studies here where I have worked with fibromyalgia. We did a large body of evidence of research. I did 320 clients, 320 women as our very first clinical trial to get a whole bunch of information on how cannabis energy medicine works. And sir, we're working with hospitals around the state of Colorado to test how cannabis energy medicine affects and supports the cancer process. So after receiving chemo, after getting radiation, after having severe surgery pain, all of that, we are working with cannabis energy medicine clinically to see the scientific changes. Why? Well, I want to prove that there's a science to subtle energy medicine and that there are other ways to use cannabis than just the hallucinogenic compounds or the CBD components. There is another quality that the cannabis plant spirits want us to work with, and that's our raising our vibration through reconnection of our physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies, transforming our consciousness. So, cannabis energy medicine is a completely drug free product. This is what's so magical and unique about this product. Every single person in the world can experience cannabis energy medicine because it does not contain any of the components that are illegal. So, there's zero THC, there's zero CBD, that tetrahydrocannabinol. There's none of that in there. It's a completely worldwide product. It can be used on a plane, so it's a great travel product. It can also be used to enhance any other type of product, so cosmetics, adding it to your lotions, putting it into your cake batter, sticking it in your frosting. All of these things you can do to raise your vibration. Any way that you are drawn towards using this plant or this product, you can do so because it blends with almost anything. It's also completely safe during pregnancy and taking any other drugs or treatments. You can take it during all cancer treatments, and it does not interact with any other medication. What other product can you say can do that? There's not a lot, right? So now here's the good stuff, right as we hit the 30-minute mark. I want to invite you to do a little bit of cannabis energy medicine with me today. So I want to give you the tools to use cannabis energy medicine for your own personal self-healing. Remember that download you got before the class started? That what color are you most attracted to? Just probably like we had Tina over here stating that she wanted purple originally because that was the color she was most attracted to. So today I want to invite you to do a little body check. I want you to get your feet flat on the floor. You can keep your eyes open or you can close them. But I want you to get connected to your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual body. I want you to take note of your body as a whole. I want you to start by focusing on the feet, flashing open the soles of the feet, noticing the weight of your sock, the weight of your shoe, noticing anything on the system there. Do you have any pain or discomfort? Any areas of the body there that is calling for attention? If there's some place of discomfort, note it on your personal inventory. You're going to start to do a mental inventory, a place where you Write down in your mind's eye all the things that need a little attention. Continue up the legs, breathing into the lower leg, noticing any areas of imbalance, and then noting it on that list. Then moving up the body, noticing what's happening in the thighs, the hips, the low back. What's happening with your system? Continue to move up your body, noticing what's going on in the torso, the front and the back of the body. Letting any areas of tension or discomfort or pain, letting them know, I hear you, I've put you on the list, you will get attention as soon as I'm done. And then let go with the next breath and move on up the body, noticing what's going on in the arms, in the hands. Noticing what's going on in the neck. Touching if you need to bring awareness to that area. Focusing on getting an inventory list. And when you're ready, go ahead and come back to this time and this place with your inventory list in mind. So I'm just put out a post here to see if you have any pain or discomfort in your body right now. There we go. So now we got it out. So as we start to get answers in here, do you have pain or discomfort in your body? Let me know by just clicking that yes button. I'll give you just a moment longer. So how do you decide which one of the canna essences or the cannabis energy medicine is right for you? How can you tell which one is right for you? I'm going to show you in just a minute. So now, what color are you most attracted to? What picture are you most attracted to? Choose. Is it the green, the purple, the violet, or what most people call pink, and then the red? Is it one of these colors? Which one of these are you most attracted to? So I just put out a poll to see what color you're most attracted to in this moment. Answer that for me when you get a chance to let me know. Well, looks like there's purple is definitely the big one today. So what is purple? What does purple offer when you are attracted to purple? Well, if you're attracted to purple, you're going to be working with your personal destiny's calling. You're going to want to let a little bit of the pressures of life melt away, which might mean that you may be having some questioning of your personal calling, your life purpose. Perhaps you're having racing thoughts. You feel alone, confused, lost, disorganized, or heartbroken. For me, when I too was attracted to purple today. I'm using the purple to make sure that I keep myself on track and that I am getting my message, my destiny's calling, out to the world with clear, heartfelt communication. Now, I hope I'm doing so, right? So for here, if anybody else had any other colors, you can go ahead and read about what cannabis energy medicine offers for you. But right there, you just did simplicity of giving yourself a very, very simple cannabis energy medicine self-treatment. So the way to really see if you need a more focused, touching the body treatment, taking it internally, you would want to do another body check. So I'm going to invite you again to, now that you chose what color you were attracted to and you read about the qualities of that color, I want you to do another body check. So put those feet flat on the floor, flash open the soles of the feet, and start to notice what's going on in the legs, in the knees. Going back to that area, that inventory list you had going on in your mind's eye, go back and check in with those areas. Just with what your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual body has to tell you. Now, as you go through this body check and you continue to check in with your system and go over that lovely inventory list, has anything changed in your body from before, from the original body check to now this body check after you chose a color? Is the pain, has it increased or decreased? Are there any areas of your body that are calling for more attention? And I'm going to go ahead and stick another poll up there and ask if your pain has increased or decreased. So right here is a good way to see, anybody having any questions? There we go. Now I'm seeing a couple answers come in. So it looks like a couple people, the pain went down. On one person, the pain went up. So what that would mean if your pain went up is that you more than likely need to work with cannabis energy medicine topically on your pain zone. So that would mean that you would want to apply as a compress or in a lotion to that area of the body where you're having pain, the essence of your choice. So that color you were most attracted to, you would put one drop in your lotion and apply it to the area and let it sit there over the course of the day. And then you can do another body check and keep checking in and working through the colors as you need them. Sometimes you need all 4 colors. Sometimes you need all 12 colors. Sometimes you just need one. And this is when you really get to reconnect your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual levels by listening to those bodies, by using color attraction. And it's very simple, right? Is all you had to do was choose the color you were most attracted to. Yay! So traditional applications, here is a slide showing you how you could use cannabis energy medicine if you wanted to work with it over the course of a month. And you would just take one drop of the essence, place it in a brown bottle, just like this, with water. Usually suggest spring water. And then you would take 4 drops of this pre-made solution 4 times a day for at least 30 days. You'd keep it in your pocket. You can give yourself auric infusions. This would be how you would use it traditionally. Now, cannabis energy medicine practitioners or people who want to go deeper and explore changes in the entire physical, emotional, mental, spiritual levels, especially if you're having pain or chronic disease or symptoms, you may want to use some of these other body applications. And for us, how I see it mainly in my clinic and when I'm working with my clients is different acupuncture and meridian source points are very, very powerful. Why? Because if you use cannabis energy medicine topically on the body, at these points, you are giving yourself a floral acupuncture treatment, a flower acupuncture treatment, liquid needles of light, things that you do not need needles to balance the meridians. All you need is a higher vibrational plant. I love to stick it in my bath. It is one of my favorite ways to increase the potency of a bath. Add it in with tea, Epsom salts, aromatherapy, and then I really got a very powerful medicinal bath, and you can too. You can also add it to your beauty creams and cosmetics. For me today, I used green. I used abundance. I used joy, safety, protection to come in and support my system underneath my cosmetics for the day. One drop, and it supports me all day long. I can do cotton ball applications, direct sources of places where pain is. I can do full body applications using sponges. This is really good when you're in hospice or you're working with somebody who just can't get in and out of a bed, like they're hospitalized or they're in a wheelchair, they're immobilized in some way. Spine specific treatments are powerful, and they're very, very powerful to transform the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. You can also do topical applications, using lotions, oils, aloe vera, water. It's my favorite source to put cannabis energy medicine in. Why? Because water is an intelligent being, right? Remember at the beginning of the seminar, water is an intelligent being. You can also put it in spray, mitts, misters, add it with essential oils, increase that vibration and that potency. Mm, as I spill on myself. You can also use it on your reflexology maps on the hands and the ears. It works really well that way. Uh, my husband, he is a reflexologist, and one of his favorite ways to use cannabis energy medicine is on the reflexology points. And if you want to learn more about FIC protocol and some other uses for massage therapy, check out my upcoming webinar in the virtual PEM Summit coming up later. So what is chromotherapy? I use vibrochromotherapy a lot when I'm talking about cannabis energy medicine. And this is my way of bridging the gap between science. So vibro equals energy, vibration. Chromo, which we talked about earlier, equals color. So we're using vibrational colors as a therapy to transform pain and discomfort in the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. There is a color for every month. Some months have more colors than others. This month, as we're finishing the month of September, we're working with indigo. And as we go into October, we're going to be working with violet, with cleansing, with transforming all of the things that we worked so hard to create over the summer period. So let's go ahead and do some case studies. I mentioned some case studies earlier so that I can share with you the message of Tracy, really. So Tracy, this is Tracy Reynolds, and her case study is really beautiful. Tracy is a friend, and my mother, who hated cannabis her entire life, she looked down on it, really was not approving of my work with the cannabis plant spirit as I sat for years researching and sensing into the qualities of cannabis. But until she got her own kit, my mom didn't like cannabis, but when she got her own 12 color canna essence set, she started to change her perception of cannabis. And she was talking with Tracy about our product, and she gave her a sample kit, four of the core four: the red, the green, the purple, and the violet. Little tiny little vial. wouldn't last somebody too long. They're a sample size, really. And she ended up using this product for a good 6, 8 months. And I didn't really, I had forgotten about that I had given it to her. And she was going through all of these different cancer treatments as she had been early on in her life. She had breast cancer and she beat breast cancer, and then she got uterine cancer and she beat uterine cancer, and then she got a lung cancer and she beat lung cancer, and now she's got this leiomyosarcoma, which is affecting different parts of her body and her muscles. It's one of the more rare cancers, so she'll never be cancer free for her life. And she was going through all of these treatments, had part of her lung removed, and just really experiencing a very difficult time. And Tracy used the canna essence without telling anybody. I think she might have told her physician, but she didn't tell any of us how she was using them. She started putting them in the drops of her water, a couple drops in her water bottle for the day when she'd go and get her infusions, her chemotherapy, right? She went and she'd be able to drive herself there and she'd be able to drive herself back. And Tracy shares her story, her video testimony on how the canna essences made it that she didn't have to take any drugs to support herself during all of her treatments. No pain medication. She had part of her lung removed, and no chemotherapy. Like with chemotherapy after treatments, that sometimes you need emotional support, sometimes you need stomach support to stop the nausea. Tracy needed none of that. As all she used was the canna essence according to color attraction. She used them in her water, she used them on her body. And then she came and shared with us at the Body, Mind, Spirit celebration last March in 2015. She shared with us how this plant transformed her life, how the cannabis energy medicine, the canna essence flower essences, changed her life and her higher life to remedies. So do you know somebody with cancer? Do you know somebody who might benefit from using the core four by the simplicity of color attraction and then putting it in their water and on their body as they need? I don't see any comments, but yes, most of us know at least one person who has cancer, has gone through cancer. Perhaps they could have used this before. So what do you think of Tracy's story? I think that there could be beautiful clinical applications, which is why we're working with different hospitals around Colorado in the oncology units to see how cannabis energy medicine can support the system and transform the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies and raise somebody's vibration. So now this is my favorite one. This is the one I really love to share because this was a clinical trial I got to conduct. So yes, all full disclosure, I did create the product and I did create the trial, but I had people helping me to run the trial. So I do call for this trial to be redone by somebody else who has the means to follow my methodology and replicate the results, because that's when we really get to see science at its best, is replicating results, right? And that's what we need to get into hospitals and get cannabis energy medicine paid for by insurance. But the really interesting thing about my trial is I took 320 people who had serious fibromyalgia pain. They had to be experiencing chronic pain above 7 on the pain scale. And they had to have this pain for at least a minimum of 3 months. So some of you might know what fibromyalgia is, some of you might not know. So here's a little infographic about what fibromyalgia does to the body. It affects every single body system. Do you see how the endocannabinoid system and balancing that system, activating it, feeding it so that it can balance and bring every other system into homeostasis might be supportive? in a condition like fibromyalgia, right? So these are the tender spots of fibromyalgia. I personally have fibromyalgia, so it is close and dear to my heart. This is one of the 10 diagnoses I had early on in life. And you know what? I feel like I've mostly cured my fibromyalgia. There are times where it is out of balance, and it's usually when I haven't slept well, I have been under undue stress, or maybe I got dosed because I'm also a celiac. I'm an anaphylactic celiac, so if you to dust in the air, I can explode and my throat closes and I start to choke. Uh, it's no fun. And so that could be one of the triggers that creates a relapse type of episode for me. But what do I do when that happens? I go to my tools. I use my high vibrational energy medicines like cannabis energy medicine to help transform my system. So, what happened during this trial? Well, it was really miraculous. After 6 weeks of working with somebody, working with these 320 people, I saw 72% of them experience complete relief and increased well being of all their chronic pain. Now, that meant that they still had acute pain. So, that was pain that would come, in the morning or during the course of a day, but it wouldn't last longer than 4 days. And that 100% of all of the participants felt that they had higher sense of control over their pain perception. They also felt that they had the tools to manage their pain more accurately after learning how to work with cannabis energy medicine. So the tool that I showed you, the "What color are you most attracted to" page, that was what helped them manage their pain. And you can too. So this really is unique because we didn't use the essences internally. I had nobody drink water infused with the essences. Is all that we did was apply the essences to the body topically. So if you want to learn more about the fibromyalgia, go to the upcoming webinar, register, get on there for the Physical, Emotional, Mental, Spiritual Summit, and I would be so happy to share that tools and the methodology with you. So today, would you consider buying my book, learning more about cannabis energy medicine, figuring out how you can maximize your personal self-healing by using the tools in the book? So if you order today, I'm doing a really special order. I'm giving you a offer that's amazing where you can get my book, and you can also get your own personal set of the core four essences right here today. And that I'm going to go ahead and open up that offer right now. Offer. Show offer. So there we go. So here's the offer for the day. I highly suggest you purchase this if you are interested in cannabis energy medicine and you want to learn more about how to use these tools towards your own personal self-healing. In my book, I give you the tools to do 3 separate 6-week programs. That means that you have 18 weeks. Each week, you're focusing on an individual key of vital health that gives you tools towards changing your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. Now, what's really cool about the book is that I have put all my good stuff. If you've ever worked with me or you've ever heard of anybody working with me, this is the map. This is the tool. This is literally the map that I use when I'm working with people individually. So essentially, you get to work with me by buying the book, and you're getting a magnificent discount on the book. The book itself is traditionally $50, $49.97 if you buy it regularly, the regular price there. But if you buy it today, you're getting the book at a discount of only $25. That's a huge discount. And if you purchase the kit, because you're buying it as a whole kit, you get the book and the kit. The kit is usually $92. but you're getting it for 75. So you get this amazing package ready to go out the door with every single thing you need to start working with cannabis energy medicine for yourself or professionally for only $99.97. I hope you'll take advantage of my offer. And now that I've given you my offer, I would love to hear your questions. Do you have questions? Is there anything that's standing in your mind here where I mentioned something early on, but you'd like to know a little bit more? Ah, hi, Raina. Rena, maybe I said that wrong. Apologize if I did. Thank you so much for sharing. You're a cervical cancer survivor, and I've never specifically worked with the cannabis energy medicine on cervical cancer, but I have worked with folks who have got some endometriosis that's coming out of their perineal cavities here. So there are ways to work with cannabis energy medicine wherever your imbalance is in your system, and you can do it internally or externally. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for attending this webinar. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check out Cannabis Energy Medicine. And don't forget about my amazing offer here today where you can get the book, you can get the Core 4 kits, and really start working with Cannabis Energy Medicine right now. Thank you so much. I wish you high vibrational energy today. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions or you'd like to talk to me more about working with me individually. And signing off, Jamie Lynn Thomas. Have a beautiful day.